Hello, everyone, and welcome to Get Better, a show about two longtime friends trying their best, growing up, and hopefully getting better. I'm Zach Johnson.
And I am, checking my notes here, Sister Janine from the 1971 X-rated horror film The Devils.
The Devils, obviously, yes. A cultural icon and very well-known property, The Devils.
Children's
of course,
film, yes,
yeah.
The children's film, the X-rated
Yeah.
The Devils from 1971. Classic Warner Brothers property that we all know and love. Of course, we are talking about
emphasis on
love and totally knew about and is appropriate for children. My favorite extra from the new Space Jam 2 Space Jamining movie.
Oh my gosh, Space Jam. I cannot wait to talk about this, but it looks up. Oh my gosh, it looks like we have a news flash right priir to getting into that.
You know, it's crazy. Whenever those news flashes come, it's just bright, blinding light from my computer. It's wild. I don't know why we set them up that way.
It just stops the whole thing, and it is in my voice, which is a strange
I'm glad
thing,
it's a podcast because I cannot see.
Two pieces of news that I think are the most important, and this is just what I'm reading from the flashing lights. In between the flashing lights, this is the news that I'm gathering.
So much.
First and foremost is the NBA Finals is over.
Oh,
it's plumb over. It was a 4-2 victory by the Milwaukee Bucks. Bucks. Headed by a gentleman from Greece named Giannis Antetokounmpo.
The Greek Freak.
The Greek Freak, yeah. So really exciting. He put up some incredible numbers. He went for more than 40 points for 3 games in a row, which would be unheard of had one Shaquille O'Neal not done it about 2 decades prior. But in the 2 decades that have happened since then, no one has done it.
Figure.
So it is an incredible accomplishment. And so I watch sports and so should you. Is taking a rest for a while because Giannis won, and it kind of goes back to the thing I was saying last week, which was just how exciting it is to have players from other countries get recognized in this way. And Giannis is such a great guy, and he's so talented. So it's great that, you know, like this MVP or this finals MVP was from Greece, and the MVP of the season was from Slovenia. So it's just, 2 really big things happening in the NBA right now, which is just really great and very exciting. Another piece of news that I wanted to get your reaction to is tonight. Yes, that's right. Tonight, as of recording this, Thursday, the 22nd, our good friend and yours, Kanye West, is having a listening party for his new album, Donda, in Atlanta tonight. And I don't know exactly what time, but probably coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, we won't be there.
We will not be there. Oh, but wait,
we won't be reporting live from.
This is us reporting live, but it comes out a week late. So they asked us to report live, and we were like, "Can't do it. We cannot."
That's not how our turnaround time works. That's just not how our program is made.
Yeah. So, that's really exciting. As is Kanye's tradition, it came out of absolutely nowhere. So
It makes me so nervous.
I know.
So nervous.
That is the thing about Kanye's music is you never really know. It
used to be so exciting. I used to be so excited when new albums came out, and while I still think they're good, they're steadily worse every time, and I'm like, I'll just retire. Like I've lost my faith that he's gonna put out another banger, and so it just makes me sad when he puts out these mediocre albums. Now maybe Donda's gonna be phenomenal, but I'm worried.
It's it's been a while. You know, he put out Jesus is King in 2019, so
fine.
It's been 2 years. He put out Kids See Ghosts. That was his other project, which is incredible. And Yay, which I also really really liked. And before that, it was Kids See Ghosts is really great. Yay is really great. And before that was Life of Pablo, which I did not like. And then it grew on me a lot over the years. So
I really feel like Fantasy is best album, obviously, like on a technical level is best album.
Mm-hmm.
And a conceptual level, Yeezus was very, very good. Also a great album, not as good as Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, but still very good.
Mm-hmm.
And then Pablo, not very good. I thought Ye and Kids See Ghost were great, but they felt
they're especially
smaller. They're much smaller.
Yeah, and Ye is very autobiographical, so
which is great.
Yeah, and it's like if you had to really buy into the you
had to be a true fan. But and then Jesus is King was like nice from Kanye, but it was just like a mediocre album.
Yeah.
It was like fine, but like I have not listened to it since. Like I listened to it like 10 times when it came out, but then it's like I'm not going back to Jesus is King. So some good songs, but not a lot of staying power. I worry about his legacy as an artist, because obviously his legacy as a person is garbage.
Yeah.
I worry about his legacy as an artist just because I enjoy his work so much. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
And this might, we will probably talk about our initial thoughts on it next week because it is releasing tonight. The album they're releasing tonight. So we will be able to have some thoughts. It's really interesting, and this kind of bleeds into I watch sports, and so should you, and also into Space Jam because Space Jam the finals were dog shit in comparison.
Were they really?
No, they was actually the best finals probably in several years because it was two teams that were just random, like hungry for it, like the Suns and the Bucks. Like ask anyone on the street if like Milwaukee has a team, and like I have no idea.
Right.
Yeah, no, it was actually really, really incredible.
You're doing a bit. I understand.
No, but all this to say, in comparison to the game at the end of Space Jam: A New Legacy, absolutely fucking not. Like it was nothing. There were no power-ups. There were no Spider Women. There were no people that could stop time until they couldn't for some reason. There was none of that.
There was no multiplication machine.
No.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But one of the people that got an early listen into Kanye's album was earlier this week, I believe, where
Bugs Bunny listened to Kanye West's new album.
It was actually Elmer Fudd. It was the big red guy. But
what is that guy's name?
I have no idea. It's something strange like
I'll look it up. You tell your story,
like Gershwin or something. But Kevin Durant was one of the people that got a early sneak peek listen. And as we know, Kevin Durant says some pretty wild stuff. So it was good to get him. And, he just I think he likened it to a spiritual experience. So that's that's pretty good. That's a very good first review.
Yeah, that is.
There's a little video of him dancing. That's exciting.
The Big Red Monster is called Gossamer, which is a great name.
Oh yeah, Gossamer. I was about to call him Gershwin. So.
Oh well, close. Let's talk about the cartoon movie, huh?
Yeah, let's get right into the cartoon movie because that is what people are here.
That's what we're. That's probably the title of the episode.
That's what probably people are here to see. Like what time it is. That the boys know. The boys know what you want.
Come on and slam.
Yeah.
And welcome to the jam.
And by that we mean that you would think. Just getting okay. So first off, let's go into, in case anyone wants a non-spoiler review of this movie, let's go into that first, and then
you've come to the wrong podcast.
And then it'll get into a spoiler one. So there are these. If you're worried that
have you seen Space Jam 1? It's that. It's that one.
If you're worried that you will have missed something by not seeing Space Jam 1, you're in luck because nothing happens of consequence. There is no, apart from One Piece, there is no reference to the original movie. It is just a wholly original thing, unfortunately.
Yeah, they slightly will make references to the fact that before they played a basketball game, but that's basically
it. So here we have LeBron James. And LeBron James in this movie, his character is a bad dad. He is he's a very bad dad. That's his arc. He's a very bad dad, and he is pushing his son too far. And his son just wants to make video games, but LeBron James wants him to be a basketball star like him.
Look, Zach, we've all been in that situation, right? Where you're a dad, and you have to tell your kid to put away your fantasy dreams of going into computer science and get a real job, like international basketball star.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to grow up.
LeBron James probably likens it to like good, honest work. Like the way in which he treats
being the most famous man in the world. Just like do that.
The way in which he treats basketball in the opening sequence is like is as if his son is going into a coal mine. Like it is like,
or as if it's the opposite. He works in a coal mine and his son wants to be a basketball star.
Yeah. It is like he's just like, listen, son. What happens in between these 4 lines is work. You can't just be playing around. And it's just like, well, we are quite literally playing a game, but
right. It's like, a Saturday and we're just hanging out at our house.
And so that LeBron James couldn't wrap his head around like video game design being, it would be better if his son was like, I just want to work like as just a guy. Like, I just want to be, and he's just like, no, you have to be, son, that's not realistic.
Fair,
you're not going to get a job at Hobby Lobby. It's not going to happen. Right. You can't do that. You have to become an international basketball star.
To be fair, they do set it up. There is a flashback in the very beginning. It is nowhere close to as good. I mean, beat for beat, this is the same film, but it's nowhere as good as the flashback when Michael Jordan is a little kid and he's like.
But Michael Jordan in the original film, his dad is just like, you're going to do great things, son, and I love you no matter what. And then in this one, it's like, I will have you eat a shoe if you do not put your all into this game.
No. What I'm saying is the flashback with Michael Jordan is he's like, you got to come in for dinner, and he's like, well, all right, if I miss this next shot, or next shot I miss, then I can come in. And then he just is sinking basket after basket after basket, and it's like, this, and it's cool, and, then it flashes forward or whatever, international basketball star. This, when they do a little groundwork, I will say, for all the flaws in this movie, they do have one story arc, and it is Bad Dad LeBron James, where in the beginning of the movie, they're like, you'll never achieve your dreams if you sit here and play this Bugs Bunny game on Nintendo. And he's like, yeah, you're right. I hate video games. And then his son's like, I want to do video games and not basketball. And he's like, no, video games are a waste of time, which we established earlier. And then, of course, the plot of the film is learning sometimes you just need to have fun. They do, for all its flaws,
they do give him an arc.
James a plot. He does have an arc, which is, I cannot say for any other character.
Getting back to this non-spoiler review,
sure.
LeBron James goes into a boardroom meeting where there is a character by the name of Al G Rhythm, algorithm for all of our Xennial fans, and Al G
Don Cheadle. You can just call him Don Cheadle.
Yeah, Don Cheadle, active Don Cheadle. Don Cheadle playing Don Cheadle is the villain, and it's unclear
his role at WB.
Yeah, he is some sort of program that is designed to sift through all of the Warner Brothers properties, and he lives in this sort of quasi universe known as the Serververse,
which I wish they had just called it the server.
Yeah, all of the WB properties live. And so they all live in this serververse, and he's kind of the god, I suppose, of this serververse.
Well, what's weird is that it's, you and I, adults, understand what an algorithm is, right? But because Warner 3000, I'm not sure what it is an algorithm doing, right? Because they don't have like a platform where you're watching all of these things. So like, this is semantics. I guess this is unimportant, but I don't totally understand what the algorithm does. I think Warner 3000.
Well, no, the thing is, they say his function is to come up with movies. Like, he gets all the content and he comes up with movies, and so he sends an email somehow to Sarah Silverman, who then brings in LeBron James.
Right.
And he goes into this boardroom meeting where they pitch him this idea.
The worst idea I've ever heard.
And the idea is shit. And
so
it's
crazy how bad it is.
And the idea is LeBron James is going to appear in the Warner Brothers properties. So there's LeBron James.
The
movie. And he doesn't even have to. It just like, it gets his essence somehow. And so it's just, they don't even have him act in the movies. They scan his life force, presumably, and then traps this soul into the serververse with Don Cheadle.
But movies that already exist, they only mention pre-existing films. Yeah,
so they go, they're like, it could be you in The Matrix, it could be you in Game of Thrones, it could be you in Harry Potter, it could be you in the fucking Devils. Like
in the 1971 X-rated horror film, The Devils.
Yeah, it could be you. It could be you in The Devils. It could be you and your friends, the Droogs from A Clockwork Orange. You guys could be hanging out.
But that's what I'm saying is like, is the premise, and again, I understand in the film, this is supposed to be a bad idea because he rejects it. But
yes,
is the premise that they would make a new version of Game of Thrones, but LeBron James is one of the characters? Like, would he take up a spot? Like, he's Cersei now?
I reckon that he would become...
Or what?
Like... Yeah, like
I think a new character with LeBron James in there.
I like the idea of them just kind of skinning over the entire like it's like, hey guys, we're doing Game of Thrones, but again, we're doing it again.
And then it's like, oh,
and then it's like we're doing it again.
LeBron James.
And here's the kicker, friendos. We don't even have to shoot anything, and we still have the bad last season that you guys hate, and it's coming anyway. But this time, Cersei is LeBron James. And then everyone's kind of collectively like, excuse me? And they go, every single scene is with Cersei is now LeBron James. And then, so it is.
Now that is an understandably, it's supposed to be a bad idea, and I understand that.
Now,
so that gets a pass.
I will say this, though. This is where I find the movie to become an unforgivable sort of mess, which is LeBron James says to us, the audience, and to the boardroom, he's like, that's a terrible idea. That's the worst idea I ever heard. And then the rest of the plot is exactly that. It is full stop.
You're right.
That thing. And I think they wrote that line in to be like, this is wacky, huh? And it's like, no, you don't get to make the movie that you called a bad idea in the beginning of the movie. And just because you call it a bad idea doesn't mean like, oh, this is tongue in cheek. It's like, no, I guarantee they made the movie and was like, this is kind of stupid. We have to throw in a line maybe to save this.
It is a term. The term is lampshading, where just because you put a lampshade over a bad idea or a bad thing doesn't make it not a bad thing. So it's like pointing out the bad thing, but then still doing it. Still bad. But what I will say is that, while I understand that the idea of Warner 3000, which is what we're talking about, Warner 3000, where they scan LeBron James into old movies that are already finished, and I fully don't understand how that works, that is Warner 3000. That's a bad idea. But where the film is bad is that, and this is why I say I'm not really sure what Don Cheadle's role at Warner Brothers is, because, like, so the Asian guy from Lost is there, and I guess, did he come up with the idea? Like, did he pitch it? Did Don Cheadle... I don't remember
this at all.
He's in the room, because it's just LeBron James, the guy from Lost, and Sarah Silverman, who are in the room, and LeBron James' kid for some reason. And I just... Well, I guess it's not a huge deal, but I didn't understand, like, did Warner Brothers come up with this, or did Don Cheadle come up with this? And
I think Don Cheadle came up with it, because if you remember, Cheadle.
How would that work? Did Don Cheadle hey, I'm the server.
And Don Cheadle pitches him the idea it's his face. He's like, hey, I'm Algae Rhythm.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, are the people at Warner Brothers, they just get an email from their server one day that's like, what up, dude? I'm sentient, and I look like Don Cheadle, and I'm just a living program. Anyway, could you get me a meeting with LeBron James? Because Don Cheadle sends the email to Sarah Silverman. Mm-hmm. So, like, what the fuck happened? Like, Don Cheadle sent an email to
precisely exactly what you're saying.
And then what?
Don
Cheadle put it on the guy from Lost calendar?
It was Don Cheadle's... Yeah, it was Don Cheadle's pitch, and it was a pitch meeting, and then you get back and forth.
But so they just know, so the people at Warner Brothers just know that this computer program that looks like Don Cheadle lives in their server, and they're like, anyway, let's make Scoob.
Trapped in their server.
Like, what? I didn't understand. I understand him living in the computer. I'm fine with that. I didn't understand and even him sending emails. I'm fine with that. He interacts with the outside world via computers. What I didn't understand is that it seemed very clearly that WB was like complicit and aware that there was this living program inside their server.
They were okay with it.
They had no feelings about it one way or the other. They're like, it's not like, and I know, news coverage or TV commercials giving exposition is a little played, but like, there wasn't even an ad introducing the Warner 3000 like product on TV where they're like, our fancy algorithm. Like, what makes sense to me, what I would expect is Warner Brothers invented this algorithm to write movies for them, and then they invented a character that looks like Don Cheadle for their advertising.
Yes, but I don't think Don Cheadle exists in this universe.
Oh, well, of course not. No, because when they said the computer's black, they didn't go, the computer looks like Don Cheadle. But what it seems like is actually happening in this film is that the algorithm came to be and then made itself aware to the people at Warner Brothers, and they're like, sick. Anyway, let's make Scoob. It's a small detail, but I found it very weird that only the guy from Lost was there, and he was like, here's this presentation our computer made for itself, I guess. Goodbye.
Yeah. Maybe
weird.
just say he just flips up the computer and it says it. So from there, LeBron James says it's a bad idea.
Which it is. Don
Cheadle gets in his feelings and is very upset that LeBron James would mock him in front of the audience of it's Stephen Yeun. Actually the guy from Walking Dead. So I don't want to get emails about that.
Oh, it's because I'm a racist. That's what it was.
So
I thought the guy from Walking Dead was the guy from Lost.
Nope, it's Steve Yeun. So I gotcha. That's the end of the show, everybody. That was the whole point of this.
Cut.
Yeah. So so what happens from there, and once Don Cheadle is upset, he kind of tricks LeBron James's son into going into the server room. Sure. And in the server room, there is this, for lack of a better term, Stargate that can transport you into the server, which, mind you, Don Cheadle does not exist in the physical world. Someone had to build that, probably from another email given by Don Cheadle. Don Cheadle was like, hey, here's a good idea for a movie. You invent for me something that can turn people into cartoons and then send them into the server. Yeah. A digitizing machine that we keep on the back lot of Warner Brothers that I can use at my disposal at any time to turn anyone digitized with the intention on keeping them there forever.
Yeah,
okay,
again,
Don Cheadle, here we go.
The whole Warner Brothers section of it was very confusing to me, how all of that. Once they got into the computer, it was like, sure, whatever. It's it's the computer world. But that's fine. But the Warner Brothers section was very confusing to me. Also, I'm now looking at these two different men. Boy, they look different. Oops.
Oof.
That's an L for me.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's what we call an L.
Yeah, you know, sometimes
you live and you learn.
You live and you learn. Anyway, so then they meet the computer. They have, then what we enter is a short period, what I would call the good part of the movie. This is the part, because I'm a big Looney Tunes fan.
And I would argue that this part of the movie is just a continuation of the bad part, which is the whole movie.
Well, but there is a distinct drop-off where there is then the bad part of the movie. But I don't know how we're doing this whole spoiler, non-spoiler thing.
Or not. I think it's over. That was a lie from the beginning.
Wunderbar. Because I don't know how we're going to go beat by beat through this movie without, spoiling the movie. But again, if you've seen Space Jam 1, it's seriously, not a shot for shot, but a scene for scene. They have a scene where they steal the powers of good basketball players. It's the same movie.
I completely disagree, but...
Now,
continue.
What I will say is that I think they did a better job in this first section getting into the plot. Because if you remember from Space Jam 1, there's not like a whole and then Michael Jordan goes and plays baseball section, which is wholly unnecessary from the first movie. They do a pretty good job of getting into the movie, right? Like, I think while I have some big complaints about...
One thing I really didn't like was in the first Space Jam, Michael Jordan just has a regular house.
Oh, yeah, that's also
Do you remember that?
weird.
He just has a regular house. And, like, people can drive up on the street and be like, hi, Michael. And he's just like, hey. And, like, driving, like, a van.
It's incredibly weird.
But LeBron James lives in a LeBron James style house.
Yeah, giant mansion. But anyway, so so he meets Don Cheadle. Don Cheadle is like, I know I sucked you in here, but I guess we're making a deal for some reason. And
because I stole your son.
Yeah, even though he could just like make him be in the movies. Again, not totally sure what Don Cheadle's goal is, but I guess make him be in Casablanca. And so he's like, I have all the power, I'm holding all the cards, and I've gotten everything I want. But if you, international basketball star, beat me in basketball, I'll let you go home. Now, nothing is binding him to this agreement, but I guess that's it. And so then he throws him
Well, so it's because Don Cheadle, you're not, I feel like I'm really upset with you, Sam, because you're not understanding, like, the intricacies of this, like, the Greek tragedy that is Don Cheadle's character.
Sure. Oh, Don Cheadle was my favorite part of the movie.
Don Cheadle, his character is motivated by pride. It is, he wants to have the most eyeballs on him as possible.
Sure.
And he sets up a basketball game that he is destined to win because he is God in this universe.
Yeah.
And he wants all of LeBron James's followers to watch the game so that he can be seen.
Quick question,
It is
Zach.
Yes. No, the answer is yes.
If he had not abducted LeBron James's son and then learned from LeBron James's son a thing he did not know prior, which is that LeBron James's son had invented Domball, a spin-off of basketball, and also happened to have perfect scans of some of the best basketball players in the world. What was Don Cheadle's plan? Because it seemed to all rest on this sort of, like, he had the time guy, but if it wasn't for Domball and the scans that the kid, he didn't know that before he scanned him into the computer.
Once again, I really feel like you're missing out on a lot of the intricacies of Don Cheadle's character.
By the way, these are not my actual concerns about the film.
Don Cheadle was always going to win in his worldview because he is God. And so he sent LeBron James to the Looney Tunes world. And as far as
already won a basketball game.
Not in this universe, I don't imagine.
No, they did. They explicitly, this is after Space Jam 1.
It is after Space Jam 1,
Space Jam 1 happened.
The only reference to it is when, like, Bugs Bunny basically explains, like, the plot, like, oh, you need me to come and da-da-la-da-la-da-la, and then he looks at the camera and says, like, never heard that one before.
Well, no, and that's it.
There was no, holy shit! You wouldn't believe it, but like 20 years ago, the same thing happened.
I know.
Isn't that wild?
But what I will say is that when they go get Lola Bunny, she makes things, she's like, oh, I've been there, done that. Like, they acknowledge the fact, he's like, we need to win a basketball game. She's like, I've already done that. Like, they acknowledge the fact, as small as it is, that Space Jam 1 existed. I don't remember why that was relevant. You told me the movie was bad before I watched it, so I was drinking heavily throughout the film. So I'm not totally cogent on all of it.
You're understanding Don Cheadle, because Don Cheadle, you have to understand him as God in this situation.
I get that.
And he is a cruel God.
Sure.
And Don Cheadle banished LeBron James to the Looney Tunes averse.
Yeah.
Calling them the rejects. And it didn't matter who Don Cheadle got. Like, he probably would have, because he didn't know that LeBron James was going to get a spaceship and be able to fly around. So Don Cheadle probably would have willed the other characters into existence. He would have been like, all right,
because
all right, King Kong, boom, you're here. All right, boom, like Iron Giant, you're here.
Right.
And then he would just have them play. But when he found out that Dom had invented a basketball game, he was like, oh, how delicious. How absolutely amazingly ironic.
Yes.
Here's what I'm going to do. Because I'm a bad god, I am going to have LeBron James play his own son in a game, and I will never reveal to the son that when he wins, he is trapped with me forever. Right. And I think that like sort of like sadistic joy that he would have gotten from that was of infinite more value than him just winning the game with King Kong or whatever.
I understand that. That's fine. You've made your point about he was just going to play basketball and summon the Iron Giant or whatever. Or
Costco Pennywise.
Or Costco Pennywise or the Herculoids, whatever. My point is, okay, in the first one, Danny DeVito makes a similar bet where he's like, I bet you. Now, again, it seems very weird to bet slavery because it feels like slavery is sort of a non-negotiable thing. But he says, if you win this basketball game, I'll go away. And if you lose this basketball game, I'll make you a slave forever. Which, again, if you're down with slavery, it feels like you just abduct them. But whatever. Now, I'm not a slaver. I don't know how it works.
I think you were also heavily drinking during Space Jam because you do not understand the intricacies of the Danny DeVito character.
No, I'm saying that's what happens. Isn't that right?
Well, it is. So the Looney Tunes brought Michael Jordan there
to win the game.
And to win the game, yes. But Michael Jordan he's fine the entire time. Like, it is up until Michael Jordan, who has a gambling addiction, he is the one that gambles away his own self.
Yes. Okay.
That is a new part of the deal.
But isn't the whole thing with the Monstars is that they want to win the game to get the Looney Tunes so that more people will go to their theme park?
Yes, but Michael Jordan then offers up his own self. He is like, I will go instead of them if we lose.
Right, but regardless, the Tunes were going to be slaves.
Yes.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
So my whole point is that after they lose the game, they're sort of beaten and defeated. And because they live in a tangible world, while it's Toon World, they live in a tangible world. Once they're beaten and defeated, they have to go home because they've been outmatched.
Mm-hmm.
They're not the god of the universe.
Yes.
Like Don Cheadle. What I don't understand is after he loses, what is forcing him to send LeBron James back?
Okay.
Honor?
We have to. That's a heavy spoiler territory. We have to keep going beat for beat through this movie.
Okay, fine. They win
because there is a reason, and I can't believe you forgot it.
Again, really was not okay. Go ahead.
So
they're in Toon World.
I cannot wait to remind you what happened because it's so stupid. Okay. So, LeBron James goes into Bugs Bunny World and Toon World, as it's known, and he meets Bugs Bunny, who is there by himself. Yes. The rest of the Toons have left to go explore the green grounds of the rest of the Serververse because Don Cheadle kind of opened that to them.
Yes.
And
now you would think, if you're looking at this on a sort of film arc, you would think that this was a kind of emotional betrayal that will need to be resolved in some sort of fashion by our, let's call him second main character, Bugs Bunny. You would think this would be some sort of emotional beat that would have to be dealt with in any way that all of his friends left and he needs to convince them to come back.
His friends left, once again, to remind the audience, of their own accord. They were like
straight away with no dialogue.
They were like, hell yeah, big hell yeah to going to the rest of the Serververse. Yes. Every last one of them, except for Bugs, not even Tweety stuck around. Like every last one of them was like, bye, bye Bugs.
In a sort of exposition drop with no dialogue, it is explained to us all the Toons left and went to other WB properties. Now, again, why did Don Cheadle do that? Why did he go to Toon World? Is the whole point that they sent LeBron James to Toon World because it was empty, but he knew Bugs? I don't know. I don't really understand why Don Cheadle got rid of the Toons either.
I don't think he got rid of the Toons. I think that Don Cheadle, because he is kind of, he is the god of the universe, but unfortunately he has a god, which might be Steve Ewan from The Walking Dead, and
doesn't seem like it.
He has his own mortal flaw, which is he is always subjugated. He's always subject to what he's been programmed to do, which is to blend the properties together.
But he doesn't go to any other universe. You don't see the Iron Giant at Casablanca. It seems like he just went to Toon World. He just went to Toon World and splashed them all around.
Maybe it was because he refers to them as the rejects, and they need to, get out there more. The branding of them needs to get better, because who does not want those silk Tweety Bird pants? Got to get those hot again, and the only way to get those hot is to put Speedy Gonzalez in the Matrix.
Sure. I mean, yes, classic rejects and failures of property. The Looney Tunes
going into already made movies.
Yeah, of course. 100 years old of brand awareness. Yeah, going into already made movies. Anyway, I found that weird and confused. It felt like a lot of things in this movie felt like, while LeBron James had an arc, as boring as it was, everything else that happened in the film just felt like this happened because the writers needed to, so that we can set up a basketball game again. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, not only to set up a basketball game, but also to set up why in the fresh hell is Sylvester in Austin Powers?
Well, yeah, that scene was horrid. That was
the Nightmare on Wheels.
But what I'm saying is, like, there's no explanation, and we'll get to it. There's no explanation. There's no consequences. There's no resolution. It's literally just like Don Cheadle shows up and says, "You guys are going to other movies," and they're like,
not only that,
sure.
I think it's you guys can go to other movies.
Yeah, and they're immediately like, "Tight, see ya." Although again, this is not like a discussed topic. They just leave, stay there, I guess. Mm-hmm. And then Bugs goes and gets them, and he's like, "Hey, I'm Bugs Bunny," and they're like, "Good point. Let's go back to Toon World."
Yeah.
It's like, you couldn't have tried that. You got Marvin the Martian there in like 10 seconds. So like, it feels like if you wanted to get your boys, you could have done it.
Mm-hmm. That is
very weird.
Yeah. So precisely. You didn't really need LeBron James to. Maybe Bugs Bunny was having his own sort of depressive episode prior to this happening, and this was the thing that was giving him like the shot in the arm.
This is my entire point, is that, like,
because we do know, unfortunately, that he is having some very bad thoughts that come up later at the end of the movie, where he intentionally tries to sacrifice himself, and it very unnecessarily.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah. A completely unnecessary arc. Like, there's no arc. This is my point. Other than LeBron James, who did it, but like, no other character not only had an arc, and you texted me about this, and I think this goes into your point, but like, not only did they not have an arc, they didn't really have like meaningful personalities outside of I'm Bugs. Like, it was like nothing was happening to them. Yeah,
let's get into that one scene, just so we can kind of like, once we have everyone like all caught up. Sure. So there's a sequence, and if you are on Twitter, you've seen it 100,000 times, where Bugs Bunny, oh goodness gracious, Bugs Bunny and LeBron James get together to get the rest of the tunes. And what follows that is one of the worst things that's ever happened.
One of the worst things I've ever seen.
It goes, the Looney Tunes have found themselves in other Warner Brothers properties. And that includes Mad Max, where we find the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote chasing one another. And you're thinking to yourself, oh, that's kind of creative. They got the entire cast of Mad Max back to do this thing. They did not.
Or they got an animated version of Mad Max. Wrong again.
No, what they did was they had placed the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote in an already finished Mad Max. And then it's like, oh, that's kind of a bummer. I hope they don't do that immediately after that. And then what transpires is we cut, and this is all under the pretense of LeBron James trying to assemble the perfect team. And Bugs Bunny has his own motivation, which is to get his friends back.
Sure. Which he has so far, I guess, not tried at all.
Yeah, so he's trying to get his friends back, and meanwhile, LeBron James is like, "Oh, we got to get Superman, we got to get like Iron Giant, we got to get Batman, whatever." And Bugs is tricking him to going to gathering up all the Looney Tunes.
This never comes up and has no consequences. The fact that he tricks him out of the perfect team,
and he should just be like, after we show up to. We get Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote. It's like, okay, that was kind of weird, but there's not really anyone in the Mad Max world that I want to see, so that's fine.
Well, Morton Joe probably can't Paul.
But once we go to the Warner Brothers animated universe and we pick up Daffy Duck and Porky Pig,
right?
When Superman is right there, that's what I've been like. All right, Bugs. Like I see what you're, I see what you're doing here. Like I know what's happening and. Heck that. Like we're like our relationship is over. I'm just going to take this spaceship and here's the deal. If I lose this game, you're going to get deleted. So it is within your best interest to just let me have the spaceship and let me go get the rest of these people.
Well, but even then, like there's no conversation with Superman. That's what's so weird about it is like scene 1, I want to get Superman on my basketball team. And then Bugs is like, ugh. Yeah, let's go to DC World because he knows that Porky and Daffy are there, right? And then they meet Superman, and LeBron James is like quiet as a mouse. Like, wait, he's like to get Superman? And then you cut to the next scene, and they cross off Superman and Batman as not options anymore, and it's like, so, like, they set it up as Bugs Bunny is tricking him, but then after that. That has dissolved completely. He's no longer tricking him, and I guess there was a scene we missed where he pitched him, actually, we should just get the Looney Tunes, because that's how LeBron James acts the rest of the sequence. Is like, we're going to go to Casablanca. Not because he wants to get Ray or whatever, or, he's not trying to get Austin Powers. There's no other reason for these scenes to be happening, because he doesn't go to King Kong World, he doesn't go to Iron Giant World, he just goes to the place where the Looney Tunes are. So he's tricking him, but then again, it's like I guess there was a scene that wasn't filmed or drawn where
it didn't matter actually at all because this was all an excuse to get the Looney Tunes back together.
I know. That's what I'm saying is like there are just easier ways to do it. There's so many things in this movie where it's like you set up conflicts or emotional arcs, and then just the next scene act like they didn't happen. Like everyone left Bugs. Bugs is going crazy by himself. Doesn't matter. None of that matters. The fact that everyone left is incidental. It doesn't matter.
And this is the point that I was getting into a moment ago, which is these are not the Looney Tunes. They are like quip machines or they are just one-note characters. And it's very odd, like kind of watching them interact with each other because they're like not the Looney Tunes. They're like the funny thing about this movie. And it made me genuinely miss the first Space Jam, a movie that I don't think is very good.
No, it's
not. But it like you got to see the Looney Tunes interact with each other. Like there is so little Looney Tunes in this. Like they are barely together, and even up into the basketball game, which is an hour of the movie, you barely see the Looney Tunes do anything. Yeah. Like they are just kind of functions of LeBron James's character arc. Like at no point do they have their own agency or like within the game. And we're jumping ahead a little bit here. They go play this game. It's about an hour in and it's the rest of the movie. Don Cheadle has assembled this
Goon Squad.
Ungodly team called the Goon Squad, which whatever. And it is 3 players I recognize and 2 WNBA players that I don't recognize because I'm a sexist. And
well documented.
The 3 players that I do recognize is Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson plays on the Golden State Warriors. He is one of 2 of the Splash Brothers. So you know that when they create him in the game, mind you, the only way they can create him is because the Sun inexplicably has their data on file.
Scanned their bodies?
He scanned their bodies when you could just make up a new player because it's a video game. You can make up anything. You can code anything.
Them give Dom like infinite power where he maxed out all his stats. I don't know why we need to get Anthony Davis in this fucking game, but
yeah.
fine. You know why? Because Larry Bird was in the last one, so they're like, I guess.
Yeah. Well, Larry Bird was not playing. The funny thing is,
right? I know, but you know what I mean. They made a Larry Bird monster.
Well, yeah. Well, in the previous movie, we had like Spud Webb, and we had Patrick Ewing, and we had Charles Barkley, and like these players that were good, but even for the time, they weren't the most famous players. So
wait,
I think that's like,
was Larry Bird not the blue monster in?
No, that was not Larry Bird. Let me check, because Larry Bird was retired at the time. So he was playing...
I just always remember that as the Larry Bird monster.
Yeah. Oh, it's Sean Bradley. So Sean Bradley is this guy that I believe played for the Lakers, but I might be messing it up. But he's just a big, tall guy. So...
Anyway.
Yeah. And, so they get these players, and they play for the 76ers. I'm a dummy. So they get these they get these players because they've scanned them. And one of the players is Klay Thompson, one half of the Splash Brothers. And they turn him into this half water, half fire sort of goon, this Monstar, and his name is Wet Fire.
That's a cool name.
Wet Fire. And we know it's a cool name because the two announcers say it is a cool name, which is awesome.
Good writing.
Yeah. And following
Zach,
that,
what you're not considering is, from my perspective, the Jedi are evil.
Yeah, you got it there. Yeah, and then from there we also have Anthony Davis, and Anthony Davis is he's a big bad bird guy. And
he sucks, and UK sucks, and he sucks forever. Boo.
Yeah, so he's a big bad bird guy. Sure. A funny thing about that, both Anthony Davis and Klay Thompson have been injured forever, so it's kind of funny watching them. It's like, oh hey guys, way to put in the reps on the court as these AI monsters. The third one is a player named Damian Lillard, who plays for the Portland Trailblazers. He has this like thing where he says like Dame time. So Dame time, you know in your heart that he has some sort of time stopping ability, which is used twice and not throughout the entirety of the game.
Now wait a minute. So the Kronos, in my head his name is Kronos. The Kronos monster at the end, the fifth goon squad. Mm-hmm. Wait, were they playing with 4 players for like half the game?
I know they were playing with Dom, and then the two WNBA players, one of which is an arachnid, some sort of spider monster, and the other one is something else, a snake. Yes, correct. And then the other two, but they sub in Damian Lillard, who has this game-breaking ability to stop time and get as many points as he wants. They only put him in twice, and I really want to quickly say that. When I knew the movie was a horrendous nightmare was when Damian Lillard's character shows up. They have Damian Lillard at one point say, "I want my character's name to be Dame Time," and it's like, okay, good, yeah, Dame Time, that's good because you can stop time.
Does that happen in the movie?
Yes, Damian Lillard says like he's messing around with Dom and he says like I want my name to be Dame Time. Yeah, but when Damian Lillard's character shows up, he comes onto the court and says, "I'm the King Stopper." The King Stopper. His name is the King Stopper.
And they thought that they should have Wet Fire in there instead of the guy that can stop time.
Yeah. So
okay.
We are running a bit out of time, and I do want to get to final thoughts because I imagine that we'll take the rest of it.
Oh shit! Right.
50. Yeah. So basically, they win the game. You knew they were going to win the game. The way they win. So the game is predicated on style points, and once the Looney Tunes start doing silly things, they get a bunch of style. They get a bunch of totally unregulatable like style points. And what happens at the end is Dom, he leaves the Goon Squad. He's like, I love my dad. I'm going to be on the Toon Squad. And then Don Cheadle gets like massive big CGI muscles.
Yeah, of course.
And then the way they win is a mechanic in the game, which is the game breaks itself, where if a character does like a to the left, to the right, back up, and then shoot, the game breaks, which we learned earlier on in the movie. And Bugs does it to sacrifice himself. And so the game breaks, thereby it like starts, everything starts short circuiting. And
which LeBron makes a great point, because what they say is that if you do this, that character will get deleted. And LeBron says out loud, well, I'm a real person, so it probably won't do that. And Bugs is like, nah, I got this.
I'm going to do it.
Well,
so
wait a minute.
Bugs,
he makes a great point.
Yeah, so Bugs deletes himself, and like he glitches out of existence. His last, oh my gosh, there's so much we didn't talk about. Like so much we didn't talk about. Whatever. So Bugs deletes himself. Yada yada. Don Cheadle gets
as long as we want.
Don Cheadle gets posterized.
Yes,
which is like when you dunk over someone and they make a poster of it, and so he blips off into existence because he's a poster, and that's how he loses all of his powers. Things we did not discuss, which are very important. Number one, the entire crowd.
So
within
the reason
game,
I brought up the nun from the 1971 film.
The entire crowd are Warner Brothers characters, and that is like Fred Flintstone and Magilla Gorilla and Jabberjaw.
But the front row is all villains for some reason.
And the front row is all villains, and this includes like Mr. Freeze and
in the least iconic Mr. Freeze costume.
Yeah, it's him in his bathrobe,
not in the Mr. Freeze costume. It's crazy.
And next to him is the mask, and he's just dressed like he got like a bargain bin mask costume.
Yeah,
like
he got it from Hatworks, probably.
Yeah, probably. And then there's the Droogs, which are from A Clockwork Orange, these like serial rapist characters.
Yep.
And then next to them is this character from an X-rated movie called The Devils, and
Sister
it's this
Janine
nun.
from the 1971 X-rated horror
And
film.
it feels like they sent out some poor PA to just like grab any characters that had any recognizable IP and just shoved them onto the side of the court, and they put them in the worst costumes.
Well, and Pennywise and the Night King and the White Walkers from Game of Thrones, and also I don't remember what they're called.
And Voldemort is there, and like
the
so
white
is
guys
the
from Mad Max. What are they called?
Who cares?
Whatever. The guys who were on the bad guys, the henchmen from Mad Max. Never. But again, one thing I didn't understand: why are they all villains? I think because he's a villain. Gorilla's fucking there. Why do all the villains get the front row seats?
Because the ones they're behind him. You know, like they're behind the villain.
Don Cheadle, but they're behind all of them.
I think it's because they're bad. And but also, why? This is something that I think is like something that I don't understand is why any of them, in conclusion to the Monstars from the previous movie, they're there as well. All of them are cheering, and it's predicated on they'll like it's over. Like, or I guess
the Looney Tunes will get deleted.
Oh my
and
Lord.
LeBron James will be there.
Another
forever.
thing, they scan a bunch of people from the real world into the movie somehow using like an iPhone.
Absolutely,
and his whole family is there. It's the weirdest thing, and they're gonna get trapped.
Send a tweet from LeBron James's account that's like, well, I'm going to play a game against my son. And then when anyone opens the tweet, they get sucked into the game for some reason.
Yeah, and they're going to get trapped if like the Goon Squad wins. And
this is what I mean about like, what is Don Cheadle's role? What is his goal? And what stops him at the end?
It's because I think he got like glitched out of existence, you know? Like, I think
So they just needed to kill Don Cheadle.
Yeah, they needed to kill him using that glitch thing where it breaks the whole game. Okay. But yeah, it doesn't, whatever.
I know, but I just think this is the premise of the film of like, why does Don Cheadle, he wants everybody in the server so that they can watch and watch him. But his job is like making movies via algorithm, which also Warner Brothers seems like a dunk on yourself. But which movies did he write? What does Don Cheadle do?
I think
does he just put LeBron James in movies? Is that his job?
I think he just comes up with ideas. Like that's his thing. And like he didn't make these movies, but he's like the god of the serververse. So he therefore has control over all of the IP. You know what I mean?
No, I don't know what you mean.
He can bring them all around.
He's
because
an algorithm that does what? What does the algorithm do?
He comes up with ideas to send to Warner Brothers.
Ideas for movies. So he wants all of the people to be. So he's upset that writers are getting the credit for the movies that he's writing.
No, I think he just wants to be famous.
Okay,
he just wants an audience. You know, he always wants an audience.
So he scanned a bunch of people in to watch
him
play basketball.
We're getting too wrapped up in Don Cheadle, and we're not talking enough about Porky Pig rapping.
Oh my god,
we're not talking about that at all. I can't. That should have been the whole episode. Was Porky Pig? Porky Pig raps, and the grandma from like the granny from
her name's
the Looney Tunes does the Matrix twice. Porky Pig raps, and the granny does the Matrix twice.
And Speedy Gonzalez is in the Matrix for some reason.
Because he's fast. What
does that mean? Also, why is Granny
because he can run faster than bullets.
You're right. Feels like they just needed to put Granny somewhere, and so they put her in the Matrix.
Because it's silly.
I mean, I would rather that they put her in the 1971 X-rated film The Devils.
Grandmas don't do that.
Sure, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
The movie was a fucking mess. I think I will give it the credit that it gives, which is not what I expected, which is that the main character did have an understandable character arc, which honestly, a lot of mainstream films cannot fucking pull off. So like, hey, you did it. Your main character started off bad, learned a very explicit lesson, ended up better. Fine. His fatal flaw led to consequences, and he had to learn from that. Great. You did it, Space Jam 2. Good job. Everything else is fucking insane.
Yeah, it is. I have never in my life, not in my life probably, it's been a long time since I've felt so drained from a movie.
Yeah, like, it was not fun to watch.
It was boring, and it was just...
It was boring. It was so boring.
It was very boring, and it was just like nothing meant anything. And you knew he was going to win the whole time, but there was no stakes the entire time. And yeah, I think if we're going by, I don't know what the reviewer you said, but so there's this reviewer that goes on a scale of -10 to 10. Yes. And so on those scales, a -10 is a movie that is so bad that it's actually good. And I think that
Transformers 4.
Yeah, or another one that I really like is like The Room. It is just like it becomes this like very tantalizing masterpiece.
Yeah,
and a 10 is like a movie that you actually enjoy, like Into the Spider-Verse or
The Godfather 2 or whatever,
or The Godfather 2, whatever. Fucking Shawshank Redemption. Pick a movie.
Everyone knows. A 0 to 10 is the normal, but the negative is bad but good.
Yeah. So
0 is actually much worse of a score than a -10, because a -10 is still a movie you enjoyed, but it's obviously bad, whereas a 0 is just like fucking boring.
Yeah, and this movie, it's a 0.
It's a 0.
It's a 0 for me.
So
it is a perfect 0. Like because I have HBO Max, and after I saw it at the drive-in theater, Carrie, she was like, do you want to watch like some scenes of that? And I was like, I never want that. There's nothing in that movie that I want to revisit. There is not one scene.
When Rick and Morty showed up?
Yes, Rick and Morty do show up.
In the worst part of the movie.
Yeah, there is not one thing about that I want to revisit. Not one thing.
Right, because it's either bad or boring. Like there's parts like the whole get the team together is crap. And then everything else is like boring and has no heart, because the thing about a sports movie, you think about The Big Green, you think about The Mighty Ducks, you think about just a good get the team together, bunch of rascals, misfits sports movie is like the training montage and them getting good and yada. And yes, yes, there is a training montage in this movie. Don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is that like the team and the villains are so flat that when it comes to the game, like I don't give a shit. The only person that has any dimension are LeBron James, his kid, and Don Cheadle, which is fine, but that is not a good. That's not good for a sports band of misfits movie, because the whole point is like the whole team. If it's, you know what I mean, like they were fine. They had a fine arc. Don Cheadle obviously always is great. LeBron James is not a good actor, but it doesn't really matter. He wasn't in it. He wasn't acting all that much.
But he was playing a bad dad, so that was interesting.
Well, yeah, and he did a good job. I mean, his arc is fine. It's not good, but like you did it on paper, you did the thing. But like to have a sports movie where it's like a band of misfits, it's kind of just like, but who the fuck are these characters? I mean, I know who these characters are, but like, what is it? What's the movie? It's not good. It's boring.
Yeah, there's so much more. Like it's just it's a boring movie that does not do anything new or exciting with its IP. It is so afraid of its own like things that it's created that it will show them to you and go, remember
this? That's the movie.
And then you're like, yes. And it's like, well, that's it. And he goes like, oh, have they changed it all in this past bit? Like, what's their motivations? Like,
we own Harry Potter, remember? Cool.
And it's like, yes. And it's like, well, LeBron James is a Hufflepuff, which no the fuck he isn't. And
sure, I guess.
Yeah. And you just like, you show, yeah, like it's like someone showing you their entire collection of Funko Pops. And you're like, okay.
A friendship ending move.
Yeah. And it's just like, all right. And then it's like, well, that was it. It's like, oh, you brought me over here for that? And it's like, yeah, pretty cool, right?
This one's
Voldemort. And that is what that movie felt like to me.
Yes.
Was Warner Brothers showing off all of its things in a like a computer generated 3D rendered space and going like, look. It's like, okay. And you're like, well, see you next time.
Well, it's like what they wanted to make was Ralph Breaks the Internet. But Ralph Breaks the Internet.
I'm telling you, man. So Sam and I texted about this last night. I think what they were trying to do was they were trying to capitalize on the success of Lego Movie and Lego Batman movie, which do essentially the same thing. They just break open a bunch of the IP from Warner Brothers, but they do stuff that's interesting with it. They push the narrative forward with the characters instead of just showing them to you.
Well, and again, there's less characters. It's not a band of misfits sports movie. I think this is my biggest, at the moment, maybe I'll think more about it, but at the moment, this is my biggest complaint with the movie, is like, what is the point of get the team together if the team fades away and is completely irrelevant? Like, something, well, I haven't seen Batman, but something like Lego Movie, like, it basically focuses on the 2 or 3 main characters. Ralph Breaks the Internet is basically about the 2 main characters, right? And yeah, you go through all your IP, but that is secondary to these 2 main characters who are like having their arc. But LeBron James and his son aren't in any of their scenes together until the end. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know. It was a boring movie.
Yeah, it was, boring movie, absolute. I cannot recommend it like less. There is...
Yeah, just go watch original Space Jam and be disappointed by that too.
Yeah, there is no enjoyment that can be derived from Space Jam: A New Legacy. Well, anyway, that's our show. Thank you all so much for coming to Get Better and whatever this was. And if you'd like to get in contact with us, if you'd like to tell us all of your hot Space Jam takes, as well as all the Easter eggs that we missed, and all the like potential bars that Porky Pig could have had, just go ahead and send it over to meetthefockers2 fockedup@gmail.com. That is meetthefockers2 fockedup@gmail.com. If you want to find more of our stuff, you can find us on Instagram and YouTube, both at Get Better Podcast. That's Get_Better_Podcast for Instagram and Get Better Podcast for YouTube. And if you're listening to us on Spotify, please continue to do so. It's very helpful. But if you're listening to us on the iTunes podcast app, then if you could leave us a rate and review, that would be extremely helpful. And I think that's all I have. So,
as always, if you know anyone in Mississippi that you want to show our show,
of course,
or the whole continent of Africa, or I think Uruguay. There's a couple.
Anybody in Africa.
Well, no, I'm sorry. I'm saying South America. So anyone in Africa. There's a couple of countries in South America that I don't know off the top of my head, and of course the distant nation of Mississippi. Send it their way. I'd appreciate it.
Yeah. All right.
See you. Bye forever.